What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I'm going to talk about how I'm doing as an African-American business owner in Nigeria, in the real world, in real life, right? Because we got a lot of people who are in the Pan-African pro-black world. You know, some of them are just talkers. They're just opinion givers. Some people are actually doing things, right? Some people got little projects, and no project is more important than anybody else's project. Let's just throw it out there. And some people are doing big things because they have the capability of doing it. Some people are doing small things. It's whatever you're capable of doing. There are a lot of Pan-Africans on the continent trying to start businesses. They're walking the walk, and they're not starting businesses with the sole purpose of just enriching themselves. They're starting businesses with the idea of enriching the communities that has embraced them in Africa, right? Adding value, right? And so as an African American who is looking to do exactly the same thing, you know, I'm not trying to save the world. I don't have that type of power, but if I did, I would, right? But I'm just one individual human being that made a lot of good decisions in his life, and at the point of his life where he can do a little something, you know, where he can leverage, you know, what he got, you know, and that's just what I am. Normal, nothing special, dude, regular guy, right? But I'm a guy who takes action. And so I've been in Nigeria since 2017, operating my businesses, trying to do things, failing at certain things. So what I would do for all those who really, because I know the people in my comment section, I know the people who subscribe to me, some of you guys legitimately are going to Nigeria or going to different parts of Africa, and you guys seriously are planning on making that move to start an international business. You're really gonna do it, right? And some of you guys are interested in doing things other than travel vacations. Because, you know, to be honest, if you are a tour guide, the value that you give as a tour guide is that you're getting, probably more likely getting somebody who's never been to Africa, giving them the opportunity to come to Africa in a guided tour. Sure, most of them are overpriced, but I mean, you know, there's no value. If you can convince somebody to come to Africa, and all you gotta do is curate their way and they gotta pay a little bit of money, okay, you know what I'm saying? But those type of businesses don't really do too much for the local. I mean, they do bring businesses to people's restaurant, whoever you got in the pipeline to curate your guests, you know, those people benefit. But that type of corporation or that type of company doesn't truly benefit a community, you know, because it's really catered towards Americans. But there's a lot of African Americans that are starting businesses in Africa that caters towards Africans, right? Like me, my business, my catfish business, my farming, my livestock business caters towards the local people, because I want the local people to benefit from the things that I'm doing, right? And then eventually I will benefit monetarily once I, you know, structure everything properly, right? So I went over there. First I was like, I'm gonna be a farmer. Keep in mind, I ain't never been no goddamn farmer. I'm a YouTube farmer. I mean, I YouTube that shit, figure it out, right? I started off with pigs, I did rabbits, I did chickens, and I keep in mind, I made all the mistakes at the very beginning, right? Took all kind of L's, but I learned so many things from those L's, right? So I'm getting back into pigs. I got more. I actually bought a pig. I had an opportunity to buy a pregnant pig, so I bought her, and I have her in my compound in Nigeria. I'm gonna get back into that. I think I'm gonna make a separate place when I get serious with these pigs. But pigs were the first thing I started out with. I sold all my pigs before. But now I'm getting back into it. Now that I'm better situated to handle those pigs. Pigs are big. I didn't realize how goddamn huge they were. And I wanted to be organic. I didn't want to feed my pigs any growth hormones to make them grow faster for my own financial gain. I wanted to do things organic. Everything that I'm doing is organic. So I trial and error a few animals. I'm really disappointed in the rabbit thing. I'm gonna do the rabbits again. Because I'm telling you, the amount of protein you can get per pound is just astronomical, and I'm gonna get back into that. That, grass cutters, those smaller type high protein animals that should be able to that breed like rabbits, right? Chickens. I'm doing chickens, but I'm rather do rabbits than chicken as far as small game meat, right? So I'm probably gonna concentrate more on the rabbits for commercial, but Chickens, just because I like to eat fresh chicken when I come there. I always got my chickens I'm going to eat, and chickens I just be looking at while buying other chickens to eat because I don't want to eat my good looking chicken. It'd be like that, right? So with the catfish farm, right, what I figured out for the amount of area necessary and the amount of protein per pound, that is probably one of the most profitable businesses, right? Fish farming, because you don't need that much. You can get like a plot of land. You can get you can run a whole commercial catfish farm on one plot of land. You can get a plot of land in Nigeria for, depending on where you are, if you're in a high volume close to the city area, you're gonna pay probably, depending on who you're dealing with, you may between $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. But if you go out a little bit out towards the country, you can pay about $1,000. You might even get a better deal depending on where you want to go. It's all about your comfortability level and what you're willing to pay for, right? But where I am, about $1,000, $1,500 would get you about a plot of land if you buying it from a local or whatever. And that'd be enough to make a small commercial catfish farm that could service a village, a small, a relatively nice sized village, honestly, once you get it going, right? Because you can produce so many fish. And here's the thing about fish: they don't run away. They're in the tank, right? But you do gotta keep them watered. You gotta keep their water fresh. Just like, anything else, you gotta learn the maintenance to it. And I've had fish before, you gotta clean the water, filter, and feed them. But other than that, it's relatively easy process, relatively easy procedure. Now, overhead. Now I see why. Even though Nigerians, they have so many Nigerians who are experts on catfish farming, but they can't scale up. And I understand why. As now I have experience in it. It's the feed. The feed is what costs the most. So you can get $2,000-$3,000. You can get 2,000-3,000 catfish and get started, right? And that'll cost you for 1,000 catfish. Let's just say you want to get started with 1,000, even though, if we're, as an American, if you're going there with some money, you're probably gonna get started more than that. I'm just for math and simple explanational sake. Let me say you got 1,000, right? Or 1,000 catfish. You're gonna have to feed those catfish, right? And when they're young, you can't just feed them scraps or anything. You got to feed them very well. You got to feed them certain diets. You know what I'm saying? So that can run you about $50, $60 a month for 1,000 catfish. Now, it don't seem like a lot. That don't seem like a lot, right? And we're talking about little fingerlings, the size of your finger at the most, right? But once you start growing it, man, most people in Nigeria who have their small little catfish farms, they probably got about 500, 6,000, 6,000 catfish maybe. But at that point, you're shoveling out $300, $400 a month USD in feed, right? And so I have how many catfish do I got? 1, 2, 3. I got about 6,000 catfish, right now, right? And so that 6,000 catfish costs me, because I'm feeding all of them and I'm buying regular feed. That's cost me about $300, almost $400 a month, and that's not including various other things. So my main focus, once I got my catfish farm going, was, okay, how do I reduce the overhead, right, that I'm going to have monthly? How do I reduce that overhead so that my profit margins can be higher, and so I can produce the catfish at a low price? Because my whole thing is, I am competing with Nigerian catfish farmers in Nigeria. I want to make sure that I undercut them. I want to make sure that my catfish are cheaper than theirs. So because I have enough leverage, enough leverage to be able to sell my catfish, I have enough leverage to be able to scale my catfish farm, right? Because I can afford to feed to get to the point where I have enough catfish coming in, maturing monthly, to have that revenue coming on, and I can handle creating my own fingerlings, meaning breeding my own catfish and having a goddamn barrel with 26,000 catfish, because I know I'll be able to handle feeding them. And that's the main thing. That's what stops people from growing any type of livestock in Nigeria and Africa in general, or in the world in general. Not having the money to put back into your business to scale up, because you need that money to live. You know what I'm saying? So it's not extra money. That money, that profit you make from the business, you need it, right? So you throw a little bit in a business, but most of it you got to use, pay your bills, food, whatever. I don't have that issue, right? So because of that, I can scale up. So I understand what the issue is holding people back. They just don't have the money to invest in their businesses to make it big enough to really take them over the edge. Because most businesses, when they start up, especially brick and mortar businesses, they don't make profit for years. And that's the thing that non-entrepreneurs don't understand, and people who've never done business, is that when you start a business, especially if it's a business that like a serious industry, that requires lots of overhead, lots of planning, lots of, you're dealing with lives, food and stuff like that, and people eating and consumption, it can take quite a while, right? If you want to get to that serious, that status, that like, yeah, I ain't got to do nothing for the rest of my life status. It's because you put all all that hard work in there at the beginning, right? But I understand why they can't do it. So my advantage is I can do it. That's me leveraging myself with my business partners in Nigeria to be able to continue to scale up to commercial level, right? And there's not that much competition where I am, right? Matter of fact, there's really one or in the whole state. There's really not that much. It's negligible. I encourage any African American who's thinking about Nigeria to think about fish farming, tilapia or catfish. And don't listen to any Western Americans. Tilapia is bad for you, cat. None of that shit matters. All right, people need food. People got to eat. Nigeria population is growing exponentially. Africa is growing exponentially. So they're gonna need food. That's one thing. People are always gonna need a place to live, and they're always gonna need to eat. So if you want to get into an industry that's guaranteed to make money for the future in Africa, food, right? Because there's not enough food being produced, packaged, all right, or added value towards it for the amount of people being born, right? So guaranteed, my market is there, and my market will do nothing but grow. So all I have to do is produce, and produce with quality and in a way that's affordable for the average individual to purchase it, right? So what I'm doing is I'm like, okay, so my business is running, my catfish are in there. How do I lower costs? And I'm gonna take it on the chin, obviously, so that I can undercut anybody else who I'm competing with, right? And then the customer wins because they're getting a cheaper product, right? So in my area, I'm in a village, which is about 30, 40 minutes away from the main town. So if anybody wants to buy catfish, they have catfish or some kind of protein, and the protein that they eat in Nigeria is pig, cow, chicken, fish. Now those are the big four, right? So if I produce one of them, I'm gonna make money, right? And like I said, the cheapest is the catfish. So I have a catfish farm in a location, right, that there's zero competition. So I'll be selling to not only the catfish, I'll be selling to all the different levels of industry. Commercial, right? So people who want to buy catfish for their own personal consumption, they'll be able to come to me in a very convenient location that doesn't require them to get in a cab, take a bike, get in the bus, drive, or anything to go 45 minutes, 30, 40 minutes downtown to see if the one lady is out there with the catfish. Maybe she may be sold out, right? Right? It's not like there's a place where you can go buy, there's like a big pool and you just pick it out. No, you got the one lady that's downtown, and if she still got about 10 of them catfish left by the midday, you screwed if she ain't got nothing. All right, so that's how that is. But me, I'm gonna have so many, I'm gonna have it when you come, right? So I'll be selling retail, right, I'll be selling retail to catfish sellers who are selling the catfish retail. And of course they'll have their retail price because they'll be buying in bulk, right? And I'll be fair to them. I won't gouge the retail catfish seller, right? Who I will compete with are the other catfish farms in the area. I'm not gonna be nice, all right? Because we're in business now, right? And I gotta be mean to you. But everybody else, the end customer, and the business owner who's selling it retail, they will win for me because I can provide them with catfish cheaper than they would get from somebody else who knows that they're the only game in town, right? So let's get back to this overhead. So for my overhead is really just feed. How do I reduce my overhead? So reducing my overhead, it'd be best for me to make my own feed, right? So, because right now there's people who are making money and all they do is produce feed for people who produce livestock, right? So that's a whole nother business, being able to produce the feed that feeds the livestock. So I said, okay, how do I produce my own feed? And what does that look like? So of course, you go to YouTube University, right? And you look up, what does catfish eat? How to make catfish feed? What equipment, this is called research. What equipment is necessary? And you find out what equipment is available in Nigeria. Good thing Nigeria, man, you can get anything in Nigeria. You can get anything. Any type of equipment, you can get that shit, right? So I located the piece of equipment that's large enough for me to make my own feed. Now I needed a machine that was large enough to make commercial grade and a commercial amount of catfish feed for my commercial catfish farm. That will reduce my overhead costs, because the ingredients to make catfish are much cheaper than actually buying a finished product, right? So if I'm buying a bag of a 10-pound or whatever bag of catfish feed for 50 USD, well, if I make if I buy all the ingredients and, you know, for like $10, $11, and I can make 5 or 6 50-pound bags of catfish feed for $50, I'll sell it for $45. That way, I start commercially selling catfish feed. That's what I'm gonna do. So now I'm in the process of purchasing a catfish. Well, it's not really a catfish pill maker, but it's a livestock pill maker. So I'll be able to make commercially feed for my livestock catfish. So that cuts down on my overhead dramatically, and I'll be able to make extra money because there's other people who have goats, chickens, catfish, tilapia, rabbits, various other animals that require, you know, animal feed, and I'll be producing that. So that's another business within my business, just cutting down on the overhead. So I already got that. Another thing, how else can I reduce my overhead? Producing and farming the more protein feed for my fish that's supposed to provide protein for the people. So how do I do that? Okay, what kind of live insects, which is high in protein, can I produce so I can feed my catfish? So I can make sure that my catfish are getting the necessary protein they need to be big, fat, and healthy to provide the protein for the people who will be purchasing my catfish. So I looked it up, and so we have black soldier ants. Black soldier ants in Africa are used. You can produce larvae from the black soldier ants, or you could do flies, you could do ants. There's various different bugs that make mealworms, or, you know, beetles or larvae, whatever you want to do, right? So if I farm that, you know, then I'll have an endless supply of high protein, clean protein for my catfish to eat, and I can mix it into my formula that I'm gonna make for my feed, and that formula will be integrated into the various other animal feeds I create. When I put my own products, I'll have my goat feed, my rabbit feed, I have my grass cutter feed, which would probably be the same thing as the rabbit feed. I have all kinds of feed for different animals, right? And I'll be able to feed mines with the soldier ants or the flies or whatever I'm going to use, you know, to produce those, which I'm building right now. So I'm building my larvae farm, small larvae farm. So I got my larvae farm. I got my commercial grade pill maker coming in, right? So I can also sell, right? So not only can I sell feed for various different livestock animals, that's one business. I could also sell larvae, right, or larvae, or mealworms, right, as a product directly to people who are feeding their, you know, animals. I can put that in with my livestock feed mix to make it higher in protein, higher in quality, right? And I can also give classes to people who want to learn how to do it themselves. Because the thing about insect protein is it's one of the proteins of the future. People are going to be eating it directly. So that's a potential business opportunity for me there, right? And so I lower my costs with the catfish, right, by producing my own food, which is much easier than buying it commercial, right? So I want to control the complete and total value chain. So I'm going to grow. I'll even grow some of the food instead of buying it at the market, right? I'll grow some of the ingredients that goes inside my formula, buy the things I need to buy at the market. That way I'm stimulating the local market by buying products from other farmers, right? I'm giving the local business people an opportunity to get into the retail catfish business by buying it from me wholesale. I'm giving the people an opportunity to buy high quality protein without traveling 45 minutes to downtown to hopefully get lucky to get protein. So it's a value all the way around, and I make money. Because despite what people say, poor people spend money, right? Just like in the hood, if people in the hood didn't have money, stores wouldn't pop up trying to take all the money from the hood. This is what it is, right? So any place that have low income people, despite the low income, they still spend money just like everybody else, right? So I just troubleshoot my business, and I don't think about, damn, how come I ain't make no money this month? Because I have been making money this month. I just take that money and I flip it. I already got my distribution spots because I have a bar. I got 2 stores in Nigeria, so I know where I'm going to sell my product. So my retail spot is solidified. From growing all the way up to bagging it, tagging it with my own name and label. So the complete and total value chain of this catfish farm, I am going to control. Also got solar panels on my farm that I just purchased, right? And that is going to run the generator, right? And that will also run, so when I'm pumping water, because the thing is, you got to provide power. Now, right now, I'm buying petrol. I'm buying fuel to pump my generator to operate my pump, right? So to cut down on those costs of buying fuel, so I won't be beholden to the international gas prices, right? Anything like that, I provide my own solar. That's what most people in Africa are doing. Solar power is just what is the standard in Africa now. It's like we skipping all that, set up your line. Solar power, we're gonna get our power directly from the sun. So got the solar power being set up and the frame and all that stuff being built right now. I'm building up my secondary businesses to support my catfish business that also is a business of themselves. That's gonna bring in more revenue and more value for the community. I'm even gonna be able to sell fingerlings, right? Because I'm gonna be breeding fingerlings, which are baby catfish, to sell to potential breeders. And I'm not worried about competition because the demand is so high. I can have 10, 11 people competing with me in the same village and I'm still gonna win because there's enough people to where, right, it's necessary. So like I said, if you are African American looking to do business in Africa and you want to add value to the community, I do truly recommend some sort of farming, catfish farming, rabbit farming, chicken farming, any small animal farming, pig farming, right? Cow, I would stay away from the cows because the Fulani's got that. I mean, you could do it, but that's a big ass. You gotta know what you're doing when you're talking about them damn bovines, right? I'm not gonna go there. The biggest animal I'm gonna get is them damn pigs because they like dogs and they eat anything. And it's actually relatively cheap to feed pigs. I ain't gonna lie. It costs me more to feed them catfish than it do to feed them pigs. Because with the pigs, I got enough land. I just gather shit and they just eat that. I barely gotta buy anything. With the pigs, I just make sure they get their supplements, their medications and things like that, and their shots and that's it. But as far as feeding them, you'd be surprised. Those pigs, they don't eat as much as other animals. So yeah. So as a regular person, non-rich, non-special, I don't have any special hookup. I'm just a regular person who takes action and spends time. I spend time taking L's and I see them as lessons. I've freaking lost so many times in Nigeria. I'm losing my way all the way to the top. I'm telling you. I'm gonna figure some shit out, right? I could probably go ahead and drop a goddamn ebook right now. To be honest, I got some real ebook experience and it'd be worth something, but I'm not gonna do that. I'll just, tell y'all what y'all need to do for free, right? That's the Pan-African way, right? Kinda, sorta, all right? Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Give y'all an update on my thought process, my working process, what I got going on. Once I get this catfish and everything built and solidified and operating smoothly and I get to the profit, I'm gonna build my shopping center, because that's my last thing I'm gonna do is build my shopping center, like a different place for me to distribute all the things I produce and sell. Because I produce, like right now, I got plantain. I'm planting some plantain. I be selling that at the market, and I like selling to the local market. I don't have to deal with importing shit, American tariffs and all that shit, because I'm selling to people in Nigeria, and soon I'll be selling to people in China and other African countries. Because that's another benefit of doing international business in other places. I'm oriented in Africa, so I don't have to worry about none of these American tariffs affecting my businesses. Shit, all I gotta do is deal with the political decisions and economic decisions of other countries that's not doing what Donald Trump is doing. So I'm good. Well, anyway, that's all I got to say for now, guys. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. You got any other suggestions? Any of you guys thinking about getting into the catfish farming? Y'all got any questions? Just ask me. You know, we're a community out this junk. All right, and as a community, as a Pan-African community, you're supposed to be helping each other build, sharpen each other's knives, right? Because I will continue to make mistakes. All right, and I will continue to be humble enough to take correction or advice from other people. All right, so y'all let me know. Let's talk about it in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach some. I'm out.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.